Look, we're going to win one way or the other. We're either going to make a deal or we're going to finish the job.
As negotiations ramp up between the US and Iran, I want to know what it's really like to be behind those closed doors and whether the headlines match what's really happening. And that's why I spoke with Jane Hardy, a retired Australian diplomat who spent 33 years representing Australia abroad and has dealt with prickling nations like North Korea. And what she said about the talks was brutal.
I think a couple of weeks there should have been more progress by now. It's clear to me that Iran's view of what's happening is different to that of the US, and that the US is now in a precarious position because Mr. Trump clearly wants the Strait of Hormuz to be completely opened and to end the war and to reduce the prices of crude oil that's coming out of that region, but it's not happening. Trump has always been very focused on the nuclear question, and you know, it might surprise your listeners that this goes back decades. For decades, he has said, even when he was in the real estate business, he has said he wants to rid the world of nuclear weapons. So he obviously had to try and deal with North Korea. Now he's trying to deal with Iran. These are the two of the states with nuclear ambitions that have been a difficulty for the international community for decades now. He's not making progress with either. So I feel that he's learnt that diplomacy is very tough and can be very long, and you've got to actually pull out a whole range of tools and not just your phone to do memes and texts. If you look at the Memorandum of Understanding that was signed last month, it's a 14-point memorandum. It seemed very obvious to me that there were several major concessions. The first is that Iran would not procure or develop nuclear weapons. Well, this is not a concession by Iran. It's been saying that for decades now, and that its uranium stockpile would be down-blended. This is a partial concession by Iran. The second is the waiver for Iranian oil to be shipped abroad. I understand this has been a major sticking point that's halted the progress on the nuclear talks. This is a quid pro quo. You know, Iranian oil would be shipped abroad, a major concession by the US. Third major concession is the lifting of sanctions. The US has said it will lift all sanctions against Iran. This is a very major concession and far more liberal than was allowed under the Obama agreement. I think the Iranians are masters at geopolitics. They understand and always have understood, maybe for thousands of years now, that they occupy a very particular part of the world that offers them huge advantages. And by all accounts, they've always played those advantages well with the countries around them.
I asked Jane if she thought US negotiators were out of their depth.
It seems to me that it is. It really surprised me that the Strait of Hormuz situation was apparently a surprise, that Iran would counter-move in this way. You know, many people are saying Iran doesn't need the nuclear bomb because it's got the Strait of Hormuz. And if you look at effects of a deterrent or of an aggressive act, you can see that geography really, really counts. But you need prowess and you need the ability to control what happens in that region. And Iran has that because it has quite a formidable military backup as well, in the form of primarily missiles, but other things. The fact that we've come all this way through these months, terrible deaths and destruction, some sort of impact on the international economy through the crude oil price and so on, it's the perceived normative power of the United States as a world superpower. It's been, I think, very tarnished by this particular war and by other things, but I think this has been the real nadir, and I would not like to be in Mr. Trump's shoes right now.